냐제 젬보도 닝미장 돈은 뭐는 젬보 냐게다 나그러다는 잔도 젬모도 tumbato jejanla ki shomsar nishan rawar zer ngijan gamsa jawar tu jishan yalaman jime banzo jala soran gonje toban por shinji lo gonje toban por shinji lo gonje toban por shinji lo.
Profound and subtle Dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we hear and follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate beings, please generate bodhicitta before teaching. Now let's study the Shurangama Sutra. Currently in the Shurangama Sutra, we first discuss the 5 aggregates, then the 6 entrances. Starting today, we'll discuss the 12 sense bases. In a moment, we'll first discuss form and seeing. According to my original plan, I thought everyone should be able to see a crystal ball, but my crystal ball at home is quite heavy. I just took it down, but later it felt too heavy. So in that case, when I explain material form later, just look at the Buddha statue in front or yourself. Prepare any object in front of you, look at it and see how eye consciousness arises. This is one aspect. Then for form, sound. When we discuss sounds, I've arranged the sound of a konghu here. I'll play this for everyone at the right time. Then fragrance, form, sound, fragrance. When discussing fragrances, usually don't you often burn incense here? I don't know if it's fragrant. We can also prepare this in a moment. Let's see for everyone. Or if you're listening at home, light some incense. Then observe that fragrance, what kind of relationship it has with our nose faculty. We discussed this before as well. Generally, during tantric initiations, the 6 faculties, 6 bases, or 6 consciousnesses. Through this method, we recognize our own nature, whether the nature of mind or the nature of consciousness. On the surface, the Shurangama Sutra appears to be observing through logical methods, like Buddhist logic. But actually, it lets our entire eye, ear, nose, tongue, body or form, sound, smell, taste, touch and mental objects, all of these, what are they really like? Through what kind of conditions do they arise and how do we beings grasp at them? Actually, right when we're grasping, their essence has never been established. Yet people all feel that seeing is believing. What the eyes see, these material forms, must exist. Then the sounds our ears hear must certainly exist. The fragrances our nose smells must certainly exist. We are always within such habits. Breaking this habit is actually not easy because in our mental continuum there's also what we can call deep-rooted habitual tendencies from beginningless time. Relying on these habitual tendencies, our entire body, speech and mind begin to become confused. After this confusion, it becomes a solid phenomenon. This solid phenomenon isn't truly broken just by saying so theoretically, just like a person with a chronic illness. If their liver has developed problems, everything they see appears golden yellow. This requires a very long time, first knowing the root of this illness, then continuing to take medicine, continuing treatment. Finally, only then gradually, as your illness disappears, what you see becomes increasingly pure. This point everyone should also, having studied the beacon of certainty and many treatises, should understand. So when we teach today, it appears to be very ordinary words and phrases, but actually, for those with the right conditions, perhaps relying on this kind of direct pointing, relying on this kind of guidance, they might basically understand what their eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness are like. They'll also understand quite clearly. So today we continue. The Buddha tells Ananda, moreover. Moreover means then for us. In Tibetan, dene means after that. Because the previous 6 entrances have been completed, after that, the Buddha again continues to tell Ananda, how are the 12 sense bases originally the Buddha nature, the wondrous true suchness? He asks Ananda, why do you say the 12 sense bases are originally the wondrous true suchness of Buddha nature, the truly wondrous true suchness nature of Buddha nature? Actually, in the Tantric teachings, how the 12 sense bases are the nature of the Tathagata is explained quite clearly. But in the Sutra teachings, it's only mentioned briefly. These 12 sense bases are actually a kind of wondrous function or manifestation of luminous Buddha nature. So how does this manifest? First, we should understand from the meaning of the second turning of the wheel, then determine it as emptiness, then its clear appearance that doesn't cease, or these appearances that appear yet don't cease, are called the true nature of Buddha nature, or the defining characteristics of Buddha nature, a kind of wondrous power of Buddha nature. It has many names. If we truly understand the Shurangama Sutra, actually here it indirectly teaches luminous Buddha nature, so some wise masters place the Shurangama Sutra among the third turning of the wheel scriptures. There are indeed such views. So in this way the Buddha asks Ananda, how do you say these 12 sense bases are the original true suchness nature of Buddha nature? But Ananda isn't as active as before. He becomes increasingly quiet, later saying nothing at all, always waiting for the Tathagata to explain, because when he speaks himself, it seems many times he can't explain clearly. Perhaps he's also become quite wise. If he doesn't speak, the Tathagata will certainly teach. He doesn't say this, then he just continues to say nothing. Then the Buddha waited a while, then continued speaking. Logically, having asked Ananda, if it were the beginning, Ananda might have spoken, but now perhaps he's tired or something. But there's still so much more of the Shurangama Sutra. Perhaps Ananda will sometimes become active again. Ananda said nothing, so the Buddha said, Ananda, below, the 12 sense bases are taught in pairs. For example, eye and form are taught together, ear and sound are taught together, nose and smell are taught together. They're taught in pairs like this. So when teaching this way, first eye and form, or seeing and form, this is what's taught here. At this time, the Buddha said, Ananda, look carefully at this Jetavana grove and the various springs and pools. What do you think? Are these such that form produces eye-seeing or eye produces form? The Buddha asked him, Ananda, look carefully at our Jetavana, the Jetavana monastery. The Jetavana monastery has many, many groves, and here there are many springs and pools. Now, if we take ourselves as Ananda, we're in front. Probably everyone is inside buildings without groves, without springs, but you can also look in front of yourselves. If there are some trees or Buddha statues, pillars, or whatever objects, just look at those. The Buddha told Ananda, look at our. Perhaps at that time they were outside or somewhere, not inside the Dharma hall. Ananda, look at the outside Jetavana monastery with so many trees and springs, such a beautiful environment. So what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? These things we see, are they form produces eye-seeing? The pools outside, the groves outside, do these produce our eye consciousness or eye-seeing? Or does our eye faculty produce these outside groves and springs and other forms? Is our seeing produced by external objects or produced by the eye faculty? Actually, that's also this meaning. When asking this way, we can also think the things we see, are they produced from the eyes or produced from external objects? This question seems quite simple, but actually if I had to answer, I'd probably need to consider it. If produced from my eyes, what faults would there be? If produced from external objects, what faults would there be? We need to consider. Ananda still says nothing, just keeps waiting. At this time, Ananda, if the eye faculty produces forms when seeing space which is not form, the form nature should be destroyed. When destroyed, everything would be revealed as non-existent. First is the second question. When asked just now, this was placed second. If you say it's from the eye faculty, from our eye faculty, the outside groves and other forms are produced. If you say the things we see outside are produced from the eye faculty, then that's unreasonable. How is it unreasonable? Because forms are produced from the eye faculty, right? In that case, if we see space, if we see this empty space, then empty space is certainly not these forms, non-form. In that case, the aspects of forms have no seer. Thus they would naturally perish. If forms naturally perish, then when destroyed, everything would be revealed as non-existent. If forms perish, due to the perishing of forms, all the manifest appearances of material phenomena directly perceived would all be completely non-existent. In that case, all of us would have everything before our eyes like empty space. All the various external appearances would no longer exist. But actually we cannot accept this, because indeed as soon as we open our eyes, these material phenomena before us are directly perceived. This is directly established. All appearances that can be seen are directly established for us, so you cannot accept this if forms are non-existent. If all external forms are non-existent, form and space are actually interdependent, because our eye-seeing actually has two situations. One is when our eyes see forms. Another situation is when eyes cannot see anything, like seeing empty space. Just like when we analyzed above the other day, either we see light or we see darkness. Apart from these, there's no third object, the same principle. If all these form appearances were completely non-existent, then who would discern the essence of space? Because form and space are established interdependently, in that case, who would know the essence of emptiness? If it were like this, don't we say in the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. If form doesn't exist, then this emptiness doesn't exist. If emptiness doesn't exist, conversely, emptiness is form, also cannot be found. Thus, in the end, there would be nothing at all. Then regarding space, space is also like this. If we examine from space, it's also completely the same. For example, just now we said eye faculty produces forms. Conversely, if eye faculty produces space aspects, then when seeing form, it's non-space. Then space nature perishes. Once space nature perishes, then there would be nothing at all. Reasoning this way, finally using this space. Because the opposite of form is actually space. If form doesn't exist, space doesn't exist. If space doesn't exist, form likewise doesn't exist, because the two are established interdependently. This is the first method. Eye faculty producing forms is unreasonable if material objects produce eye-seeing. Then the second question, if saying eyes produce forms is incorrect, it should be that eye consciousness is produced from external material objects. When we usually study Buddhist logic, we often explain it this way: the objective condition of external objects, then relying on attention and eye faculty. When these conditions are complete, eye consciousness arises, if the other party says external material objects. Whether the gardens or springs just mentioned only after they exist do they produce eye-seeing, then it's also the same principle when observing space, which is non-form. If my eye consciousness is produced by depending on material form, when I observe empty space, actually empty space is certainly not form. In that case, that seeing, that cause of form seeing, that is, the cause of seeing form has already perished. If this perishes, then there would be nothing at all. In that case, it's also the same reasoning method as before. Who discerns this space? Who discerns this form? Form and space are established interdependently, if it were truly depending on external objects to produce material form. Then when I observe space, it's certainly unreasonable. Some of us might think this way. There was also this question before: it's fine. First I look at the garden. From the garden arises my eye consciousness. Then after a while or when it gets dark at night or at such times, I look at empty space. From empty space also arises a kind of consciousness in me. So sometimes looking at groves, sometimes looking at space, actually one doesn't necessarily exist requiring the other to perish. Actually, we've analyzed this before, because people's grasping is actually a truly existent grasping. Not that it's a kind of impermanent, scattered kind. It's not like this. People's grasping is holistic, unique, permanent. That doesn't conform to the characteristics of your grasping. Actually, this is not what's being refuted here. So once we can determine it's something arising from conditions that shows truly existent, arising doesn't exist. So all phenomena arising from conditions are of illusory nature, which sutra explains it this way: all phenomena arising from conditions are of illusory nature. Also in the Lankavatara Sutra it says, All phenomena arise conventionally, ultimately without inherent nature. So all phenomena actually arise conventionally. Conventionally means illusory, arising within illusion. But in true ultimate reality, no phenomena have ever arisen. We should understand this principle, therefore know that seeing and form space are both without location. So we should know, what conclusion do we finally reach? The faculty base we see. Seeing generally refers to the faculty base here, then form refers to the object base, the particles base. So both the faculty base and form base are equally empty. In that case, there are no bases, because here the 12 bases, actually the eye faculty is also a base. It also doesn't exist. Just now, through analyzing seeing, then material objects are also a base. This also doesn't exist. So form and seeing, both bases are illusory. So form and seeing, actually these two bases are illusory, false. So fundamentally neither from conditions nor of spontaneous nature. Therefore they fundamentally have no fixed, arising from conditions or non-conditions. Also, no fixed arising from natural or non-natural causes. So what are they like? Actually, they are, just as we explained before, in ultimate reality, free from the 4 extremes and 8 elaborations, conventionally like dreams and illusions, without truly real phenomena. Actually, this is whether phenomena we see or phenomena we hear. Their true original face is just like this. This should be explained in the Lankavatara Sutra. The 3 realms are mind's delusion. Therefore, there are various views, dreams and worldly phenomena. These 2 phenomena are equal, meaning all our seeing is actually appearances within dreams, and all manifest phenomena in the world are completely equal. Actually, if we can reach such a state, that would be wonderful, very good, because now our main problem is that these eyes create great obstacles for us. Why? Because what we see we all consider to be truly existent things. From morning when we open our eyes and look, oh, your stove exists truly, it's there. Your lamp exists, your bowl exists, your phone exists, computer exists, Buddhist texts exist, all things truly exist. If we had today's way of observing, the Buddha took Ananda, using Jetavana's forest as an object. Look at this. What then is the relationship between your seeing and the outside monastery? At that time, we don't know if Ananda understood. Even if he understood, perhaps he doesn't want to speak anymore. He said nothing at all, but we are not just in Jetavana's forest. Actually, everything we see and hear, if we truly observe through this method, originally, since beginningless time, all beings have been seeing is seeing. From childhood, we say, I saw such and such. Always speaking this way. Parents also say, what did you see? Teachers also say, you saw such and such. But actually our true seeing, if observed through this method, it seems seeing is truly without any attainment. This principle should be understood. So why during Dzogchen empowerments, there's often a transparent crystal? Using this, when you look, actually one's own mind is also like this. External material forms are also like this inner and outer transparency, completely unobstructed. Through this method, to recognize one's own mind is also very easy. These are the first 2 of the 6 bases completed. Below is the second base. What is the second base? Sound and ear. The Buddha tells Ananda, furthermore, listen to this Jetavana grove. When meals are prepared, drums are beaten. When the assembly gathers, bells are struck. He said, Ananda, continue listening carefully. Listen to our Jetavana monastery. When the monks need to gather for eating, generally they beat drums. We beat drums when reciting sutras, also beat drums during retreats, generally when monks gather. We strike that gong, the round one, dong, 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 like this. That's called a gong. It's the metal radical plus luo from Arhat. Strike gongs, beat gongs and drums, then beat drums. Drums in monasteries, they generally strike wooden fish. In the Han region, at 3 or 4 in the morning, they strike wooden fish. About this wooden fish, there are several explanations. Some say the wooden fish is because fish keep their eyes open day and night, so it reminds us practitioners pensioners not to doze off. We must be diligent. This is the meaning of the wooden fish. There's another meaning that says, some Han Chinese monks explained, previously there was a person who created negative karma. In the sea he became a large fish. A tree grew on the fish's body. Later a Pratyeka Buddha, or someone, a great master, saw this and performed liberation rituals for it. After the liberation rituals, this fish died. Then they cut down the tree from its body. After cutting it, it was especially long and large. Then they carved it into a fish shape for the monks to strike it daily, this way dedicating merit to that evil person. From that beginning it became the wooden fish. There's also this explanation, specifically how it is I haven't researched, but in any case the Han region generally strikes wooden fish. In the Vinaya it's called wooden mallet or hammer, gandika, right? Ganji. Generally in the Vinaya commonly used Ganji. We also often use it when reciting precepts. Also striking bells, the Han region also has this. Perhaps Tibet is also somewhat different, but whether beating drums just now, or striking gongs, or striking wooden fish, or bells, being a monk for a day, strike the bell for a day, whatever one should do, getting through each day as it comes, this kind of saying, striking bells, whether bell sounds or drum sounds, bell and drum sounds, successive and continuous, their sounds continuously, uninterruptedly continuing, woo. Such sounds transmitted. Everyone knows this, whether you strike gongs or beat drums or any kind of sound. When we teach Dharma, generally it's conch shell sounds. Conch shell sounds are indeed very important. Our Dharma friends here, each teacher below also pays considerable attention, but some groups' conch shells have disappeared, I don't know where. Then some conch blowers have fallen asleep. Some blow but seem to blow poorly. Originally we had a yak here, often woo 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 like this, blowing not very good sounds. Logically it should be blown with more pleasant sounds, because the Buddhist sutras say, whether beating drums or blowing conch shells or striking gongs, if one hears these sounds one avoids falling into lower realms. How much more so when coming to truly listen to Dharma, so the merit is very great. We generally blow conch shells when turning the Dharma wheel. Because when Shakyamuni Buddha turned the Dharma wheel, the gods offered such right-turning conch shells for this reason. With this auspicious connection, generally conch shells are blown. This is very important, but every time I emphasize tomorrow morning, everyone will definitely blow once. Then after some time they become reluctant again, afraid many beings will hear after hearing, afraid they'll all be liberated. Some might be reluctant to blow conch shells, but if they blow, it's very good. Whether you blow conch shells or beat drums and strike gongs, their sounds, what we need to focus on today. These sounds we hear, how do we recognize our true nature? He says here, what do you think? Are these sounds coming to the ear, or does the ear go to the sounds? Then the Buddha asks, Ananda, what do you think? Now you're saying nothing. What do you think? These sounds, whether striking gongs or beating drums or striking bells, this sound, when the sound comes out. Does the sound come to your ear, woo directly coming from there to your ear, or does your ear woo go directly? Originally our ear is in one place. I don't know how Ananda's ear is. Does your ear run to where the sound is, or does sound run into your ear? How exactly is this? Then the Buddha continues asking Ananda, if this sound comes to the ear, like when I go begging for food in Shravasti city, then I am not present in Jetavana Grove. So he says, if the first case, sound from the conch shell or from the drum, then transmits directly to your ear. That's like the Buddha says, when I go begging for food to Shravasti city is Shravasti. We mentioned this before, Shravasti. Some texts call it abundant virtue city, abundant feng, virtue day, abundant virtue city. Just like when I went to Shravasti. When I went to Shravasti city, then in this Jetavana, in this forest, I am not present, because the Buddha is one whole. This whole, if I went begging, it's impossible for me to have one remaining behind. It's like this. So in that case, if sound comes from over there, then this sound must come to Ananda's ear. So in that case, this sound comes from the drum we're beating after coming out. It runs directly into Ananda's ear faculty, entering into your ear. It just goes woo from there, coming into Ananda's left or right ear. At this time, Maudgalyayana and Kashyapa shouldn't hear it, because sound is one truly existent thing. Just like the Buddha says, if I go from here to Shravasti, then the Buddha doesn't exist in Jetavana. The Buddha has already gone there. Sound is also like this, coming from there, then going to Ananda's ear. If it goes to Ananda's ear, then Kashyapa and Maudgalyayana. Although Maudgalyayana is foremost in supernatural powers, they couldn't hear it. Kashyapa too, he was the first successor entrusted by the Buddha, but they should all be unable to get it, if these two such great arhats cannot get it. How much more so the 1250 monks, the Buddha's retinue at that time, 1250 monks, bhikshus, bhikshunis, and so forth. In that case, they certainly couldn't get it, because this sound is only one whole, one whole. You cannot divide it, and it goes directly into Ananda's ear. In that case, the sound we just transmitted came here. Hearing the bell sound, they come together to the eating place. In that case, didn't this sound just leave from there, going directly to Ananda? So in that case, at the same time, how could these monks hear the bell sound? Because they need to gather the Sangha at the eating place. So how could they hear this bell striking sound? They couldn't hear it. It seems there's another explanation later, but it should be like this. You all look again. This is the first aspect of observation. If your ear goes to that sound, but we generally wouldn't say this, if your ear runs to the drum beating sound, this is also like, when I return to dwell in Jetavana Grove, then I am not present in Shravasti city. In that case, it's like I haven't returned from Shravasti. After returning, I arrive at Jetavana Monastery, because the Buddha manifestly is one person returning from Shravasti. When returning, there's already none there. If there's none there, already arrived at Jetavana Monastery, the same principle. If your ear goes there, then Ananda's ear faculty runs there. Here Ananda would have no ear, or Ananda himself is pulled by his ear, running to where that drum sound is. If this is so, when you hear drum sounds, your ear has already gone to the drum beating place. In that case, when you hear drum sounds, then your ear faculty also goes to the place of drum beating sounds. At this time, when bell sounds ring out together, you shouldn't hear both. If at this time, at the same time, bell striking sounds are produced, then you shouldn't hear them, because your ear faculty has run to the drum beating place. While enjoying there, then here, because to gather the Sangha just now, they need to beat drums and strike bells. In that case, if your ear faculty runs to the drum beating place, then the bell striking here cannot be heard at all. How much more so other sounds? Elephant sounds, horse and cattle sounds, sheep sounds, various sounds, all couldn't be heard. In that case, you have only one ear faculty. This ear faculty belongs to one sound, then others, including in our institute now sometimes. For example, hearing Dharma teaching sounds inside. Recently, aren't they renovating houses? Many tractors going cha. Another tractor rushes out, again cha. Another one comes down, again cha, going up. None of these should be heard. Previously, outside the mountains, there were wolf sounds, dog sounds, and various crow sounds, magpie sounds, various kinds of sounds. But now in summer, the most heard sound is tractor sounds, cha. It seems even at midnight, cha. If someone with good practice... Oh, relying on this sound, did my ear run to the tractor, or did the tractor sound come to my ear faculty? Then visualizing this way, wow, immediately realized. Then immediately very grateful to that tractor driver if there's no coming or going, observing this way. Since my ear faculty and sound have no coming and going, my ear faculty also doesn't go there, and sound also doesn't come here. In that case, actually, there would also be no hearing. Actually, this hearing also doesn't exist in ultimate reality. Therefore, know that hearing and sounds are both without location. Observing this way, actually, are sounds and the hearer. Both of these, the ear faculty is called faculty base. This faculty base also doesn't exist. Then sound is called object base. This object base also doesn't exist. Apart from these two, there's also nothing else. In the treatise on the great virtue of wisdom, observing ear faculty, observing ear consciousness, observing mental consciousness, observing these three aspects, I seem to have translated a little bit before. It has 100 volumes. This winter I translated a little bit, but summer was too busy. I translated into Tibetan a bit. I seem to have some impression. It explains like this inside. If we truly observe, you see, tractor sounds. Actually, sometimes tractor sounds, I think, sound quite pleasant. They have a kind of, if from childhood our parents said, wow, this tractor sound is the most beautiful sound in the world. Every time we hear it, we'd be intoxicated. Wow, I'm hearing the best sound. We might think this way. It seems not many people would acknowledge this. No one says so. Both hearing and sound. These two bases are illusory. Our hearing and sound. These two bases are all illusory. Indeed so, fundamentally neither from conditions nor of spontaneous nature. They're not produced from conditions or non-conditions, also not produced from natural or non-natural causes, just as the Great Ornament Sutra says. Like a konghu, strings, instrument and hands konghu. Previously there was such a musical instrument, it seems now they say it's basically lost. Outside there seem to be some konghu. Previously they were especially famous, often appearing in Buddhist sutras. These strings and instrument and hands combining to produce sound, fundamentally without coming or going. It's a combination, the instrument, strings and hands just mentioned, these three combining to produce sound. The konghu sound is produced after being produced. Actually, this depends on strings, depends on the instrument and depends on the movement of hands, then the produced sound. If we observe it, this is without coming or going. So previously many great masters in Chan and Tantra relied on kinds of musical sounds or relied on sounds of the four elements in our Dzogchen, specifically observing sounds of the four elements. For example, earth element, cha-cha-cha, striking each other, then making fire in high mountains. Then this fire burning, crackle-crackle sounds, or some flowing water sounds, or wind-blowing sounds in high mountains, relying on these sounds to recognize true nature. Actually, these meanings should be quite similar. That konghu sound just now, look, everyone listen. Did anyone become enlightened? Do I have one here a little bit? Is there any? This is using sound to directly point to true nature. The Shurangama Sutra is just like this. Then next, the Buddha again tells Ananda, just now we completed discussing ear faculty and sound objects, then below is nose faculty and smell objects. Ananda, you also smell this sandalwood in the censer. If this incense is burned even 1 ju within 40 li of Shravasti city, all smell the fragrance simultaneously. Here, the Buddha again tells Ananda, you again smell carefully the sandalwood incense in the censer. Actually, this sandalwood here should not be ordinary sandalwood, our ordinary sandalwood now, although it has a particularly good fragrance, but this isn't something that can travel to very distant places. Previously, there was something called snake heart sandalwood, poisonous snake's heart sandalwood, and also called ox head sandalwood. These sandalwoods are especially precious and special. Their fragrance travels 40 li. In Tibetan translation, 40 li is 40, smell distance is 40 li. Generally calculated from current units might be 20 kilometers. Previously, some calculation units said 1 kilometer has 2 li. So in that case, perhaps if we burn that sandalwood incense here, that incense. Now I need to say something here. The incense we sell must be carefully chosen, because whether in shops or incense used in various departments, some I heard are specifically opening incense factories targeting us. We need to pay attention to this aspect. We don't want to let some other people. This aspect, the supervising teachers must definitely watch, because the institute is quite large, whether offerings of alcohol to protectors or incense or any other products. It's not for advertising or for, of course, our monastics here or lay practitioners here could not possibly be connected with those business people. This is also an additional matter, whatever departments. If selling items related to the 3 jewels objects, we hope the relevant supervising teachers must definitely be clear. Don't use the Institute's name, Larung's name, while actually collaborating with other merchants. In that case, eventually we ourselves, including teachers and supervising officials, might have some troubles. In any case, here is a place for study, contemplation, and practice, not for advertising various cultural products. Previously, I heard some departments here make various cultural products, then they start making money, others think we're selling here. Actually, it has no relation to us, but initially some of our teachers here may also be perhaps quite proficient in teaching the 5 major treatises, but regarding business matters relatively manifestly a bit naive. So when others exploit them, they don't know at all. Finally, others always think, oh, it's recommended by them, it's their such and such. In that case, it's definitely unreasonable. So any future items here, including Buddha statues we use, prayer wheels and this and that, the supervising teachers should pay regular attention. We have no need to advertise under various names, selling at high prices under the name of blessed items. Now many people, some are Buddhists, some pretend to be Buddhists, then using Buddhism, blessed by so-and-so, blessed by what monks. Finally, what originally costs only a few yuan. Then they make dozens or hundreds of yuan. This is unfavorable for Buddhism and the Institute. In the end, it's also unfavorable for individuals. So before these situations occur, we must definitely pay attention. Our institute here also has no need to say, this is for statue consecration, this is a Buddha statue, this is a stupa. We don't make a living by selling 3 jewels objects. If it's for propagation, then people buy individually. No need for us to sell at high prices here. This definitely doesn't exist. But when it doesn't exist, telling everyone is better. Otherwise, once such things exist, when I speak it might target some person or department. That wouldn't be good either. Everyone should remember such matters. If you're listening at home, light some incense yourself. Light sandalwood incense, cypress incense, or some other incense, then it's fine. Below the Buddha says, here 1 ju. 1 ju is, for example, 1/24 of a liang, very small, meaning just a little bit. In Tibetan translation, just a little bit of this sandalwood incense if burned. Actually, within 40 smell distances, the fragrance permeates everywhere. It seems Master Yuan Ying's commentary on the Shurangama Sutra also mentions during Emperor Wu of Han's time. There was a little bit, as big as a pea, just a tiny bit of that sandalwood incense burned outside. At that time, the entire 40 li area was continuously permeated with fragrance. It seems it didn't disappear for a whole month, and within 40 li, all diseases and plagues completely disappeared. So when we light incense, sometimes this way might help freshen the air and make the spirit more comfortable. Many have this effect. Actually, this is also very good, but we must pay attention to fire safety is also very important for the whole world. If we pursue fragrant aromas, but finally bring more troubles, that's also not good. When lighting incense, safety must be the priority. This is very important wherever we are. Recently, I'm still quite interested in fire safety. Today, I met with some fire safety officials, some department heads here. Initially, they all had somewhat different attitudes. After I met with them, they were happy, and I was happy too. Actually, fire safety is indeed very important, everyone's life and property. First, having such fire safety awareness is still very important. So whatever buildings we have, in what aspects fire exits, fire safety equipment and instruments, these are all very necessary. Otherwise, indeed, people are sometimes very impermanent. Many practice places and buildings definitely need to prepare these things. Each department cannot take it lightly. Once something happens, what would we do? This is needed as a Buddhist community. As ordinary worldly people, we indeed need it too, because life is impermanent. Where it might appear is hard to say. What do we discuss below? Just mentioned, such fragrance spreads to 40 li away. Then the Buddha tells Ananda, what do you think? Does this fragrance arise from sandalwood, or from your nose, or from space? Saying, this wonderfully fragrant smell, does it actually arise from the sandalwood, or arise from your nose, or is it produced in empty space? The Buddha tells Ananda, if this fragrance arises from your nose, if you say this fragrance is produced from your nose, then we can say it's produced by the nose. Your nose produces this fragrance. In that case, it should come from the nose, from your nostrils or your nose faculty. These fragrances appear, but this is also unreasonable. The nose is not sandalwood. How could there be sandalwood fragrance in the nose? Because your nose is a lump of flesh, not sandalwood. If inside your nose there's not a bit of sandalwood, then how could sandalwood fragrance appear in your nose? This is definitely impossible. It cannot come from inside the nose. If it came from inside the nose, that would be unreasonable. Inside the nose there's nasal mucus, nose hair. What do you call the hair inside the nose? Inside the nose there's definitely no sandalwood, so there's only nose hair and nasal mucus when you claim to smell fragrance. Plus, when you smell that fragrance, what you call smelling fragrance should enter the nose. Generally when we smell fragrance, because that fragrance enters the nose, only then can we smell it. But now you say it comes from the nose, then out and in are definitely opposite. Fragrance coming out of the nose, calling it smelling, makes no sense. Originally, according to common sense, fragrance enters the nose, then we smell the fragrance, but now if it comes out from your nostrils, then out and in are opposite. So this way of explaining smelling fragrance is completely unreasonable. So the first point is, fragrance coming from the nose cannot be established. Then second, if you say such fragrance is produced from space, if it arises from space, space is eternally constant. Fragrance should be constant. Why rely on burning this dead wood in the censer? If you say it's produced from empty space everyone knows exists eternally, in that case reasoning it out, your fragrance should also exist constantly, cannot be interrupted for even a moment, sometimes there, sometimes not, cannot be interrupted, then why rely on burning in the censer? Only after burning this incense or sandalwood does it appear after burning. It shouldn't be like this, because if it's produced from empty space is everywhere, so wherever you go, wherever there's empty space, there would be this fragrance. But reality is also not like this. There must be an incense burner, then burning that incense in the incense burner. And when burning incense, half the time it won't ignite. Pop, pop, pop. Then there are no matches, lighter doesn't work either. Finally one gets angry. Just won't light the incense, and such situations happen. Why like this? No need. This is the second method, unreasonable, if it arises from wood. Then the third, if you say it's produced from sandalwood, in that case, then this fragrant substance becomes smoke through heat. The Tibetan explanation method is a bit different from this. In Chinese, the reasoning below is a bit difficult to understand. Let me first explain the Tibetan method. It says, if it's produced from wood, then why is it that after this incense is burned, it becomes smoke? Because you say it's produced from inside the sandalwood. If produced from inside sandalwood, then why is it fragrant substance becomes smoke through heat? Why does your fragrance, here there's a Y in front. In Tibetan, it's easier to understand this way. Why is it that your sandalwood fragrance, after burning it completely, after burning it up, only when it becomes smoke does it have this fragrant smell? Why is this so? This is the first why, then the second why, if the nose gets to smell. Oh, this doesn't matter. My nose faculty gets the fragrance. It says, why is it? Combining with smoke and vapors. Then why is it that it should rely on burning smoke and vapors? Why is it like this? This is the second why. In Tibetan, it's like this. Then if you say it's rising into space, that's also wrong. Its smoke rises into space, not yet reaching distant places within 40 li. How is it already smelled? Here there's a how come. If this sandalwood fragrance is produced from sandalwood, then its smoke in the air hasn't gone to distant places, only rising briefly in the air. Then, in the distant 40 li away, it can all be smelled. Why is this? In Tibetan, there are 3 whys. This way, isn't it a bit easier to understand? If we explain according to Chinese, if it depends on sandalwood to be produced, then that fragrance. After the fragrant substance is burned, it becomes smoke. If the nose faculty gets to smell, it should depend on these smoke vapors to get it. And these smoke vapors rising in space haven't reached distant places. Why can it be smelled? It seems, how is it already smelled? How is it already smelled might also count as a summary statement. This way might be better. In any case, this fragrance. Previously, some ancient masters also had realizations through fragrance in the records of Jizu mountain. There was a teacher named Xingche. When he practiced at Jizu mountain, he made a vow he would practice standing meditation for life, neither sitting nor lying down. He vowed like this. He practiced for a very long time. Later, he studied the Shurangama Sutra with Master Yingguang. After studying the Shurangama Sutra, he attained a certain level. Later, once he lit an incense stick, then he said, when this incense finishes burning, I will depart. And indeed, later when this incense finished burning, he departed while standing. At that time, Buddha sounds were also heard in the air. He was reborn to the west following this incense smoke. There's also such an account. So sometimes when we light incense or study the Shurangama Sutra, there are also many special auspicious connections. Therefore know that fragrance, nose, and smelling are all without location. Similarly, our nose faculty base and smelling base, object base, both of these actually have no base. If we truly observe, when we burn incense, we should be able to know. Here, each observation method is different. True smelling of fragrance, does it actually appear from the nose faculty, or appear from sandalwood, or appear from space, observing like this? Both smelling and fragrance, these two bases are illusory. Finally, our smelling nose faculty and fragrance, these two bases are all illusory, fundamentally neither from conditions nor of spontaneous nature. They're not produced depending on conditions or non-conditions, also not produced from natural or non-natural causes. They are dependent origination nature. As long as we understand dependent origination nature, there's nothing truly substantial. Among the 12 bases, we've explained the first 6 bases. Everyone should also understand.
Bandharangara Padmasada Bandharangara Padmasada